Okay, today I am demoing my silhouette edge detection project. This is a 3D model of a skull that has a light rotating around it. Um, they're the silhouettes are per mesh, and the skull's got multiple different parts to it. So like the teeth are the unmeshed. That's why they're always lit up. But yeah, so it just rotates around, and the silhouette seems to be working pretty well. I'll change it so that it's the camera that is the part that the position that the silhouette's rendered from. So go ahead and run that again. So as we can see, silhouette seems to be working pretty well. And of course, there's all sorts of spots on this skull that have multiple, it's not a totally convex model, so there's some parts that don't, that show up even though they should be occluded, because I'm not doing a depth test or anything. The other thing is I'm using the texture data from the skull to pick the line color, so that's why it's got this color going on. Got a couple other models that I made, or I didn't make them, but that I created for this. So let me go ahead and show you some of those. Here on that. So I had to, first thing I had to do was create an entire wireframe renderer, because I had to write a different shader for that and get everything working. And if you notice, there's some artifacting, because, like right here, where it's not drawing the silhouette, because I am not doing this in a shader like I wanted to, because you can't use geometry shaders in WGPU. So I would need to write a compute shader, which I haven't learned how to do yet. So I'm doing everything CPU side, which isn't perfect. And I'm not taking into account the actual position of the faces when I do the calculation for whether or not it's a silhouette edge. I just use the the central, wherever the origin of the model is, to determine that. So that wouldn't be too hard, but the way I wrote it would make it really would take a lot of extra refactoring to get that fixed, and it's mostly working, so I plan on keeping it like that for now. And then if I go ahead here and change this to basic, you can see what it actually looks like. And because of all that, that means I can't rotate anything, or do any sort of model space. It's all based on the origin and initial configuration, which is not great. So there's definitely a lot of improvements to be made. But you can see the cat is lit. Bring up the skull. Didn't change what's being rendered. Oh yeah, and I also I just need to fix UV mapping because when I rescale, I'm doing a really cheap, stupid rescaling. I am just moving all of the vertices to a scaled position, but then I'm not rescaling anything else, so the UV mapping breaks. But you can see that it's the right texture. It's just not properly displayed. Yeah, so if I wanted to continue working on this, which I probably should at some point to do shadow volumes, I would need to write a compute shader to get the silhouette done properly. Because what I have is like 95% right, but to do it all on CPU would probably be less efficient than just doing it on in the compute shader. So that's my next move here.